There's a specific type of person who ends up researching these two dogs. They don't want a Labrador. They're not interested in something that needs a sweater in winter. They want a big, serious, real dog. The kind that makes people on the street give you a little more room on the sidewalk. And both of these breeds will absolutely do that. But here's what most comparison videos won't tell you. These two dogs are not the same animal dressed in different coats. One is a South African farm dog that was bred to physically restrain and pin intruders until the owner arrived. The other was engineered in England specifically to chase down and hold poachers on large estates without mauling them. Same category on paper, completely different personalities in practice. Stick around, because the one that looks calmer might actually be the harder one to own. The Boerboel. The name literally means farm dog in Afrikaans. But calling a Boerboel just a farm dog is like calling a lion just a cat. This breed comes out of 17th century South Africa, developed by Dutch, German, and French settlers who needed a dog that could protect their homesteads from actual predators. Hyenas, leopards, baboons. Not in theory, not as a deterrent. In real confrontations, in the bush, far from any help. The dogs that survived that environment and got bred on, those became the Boerboel. Males typically land between 150 and 200 pounds. Some well-built working males push past that. The build is intimidating in a way photos don't fully capture. Low center of gravity, enormous head, thick neck, legs like load-bearing columns. This is one of the most physically powerful dog breeds that exists. What catches people off guard is the energy level. The Boerboel is not a couch dog. For something this size, it has a surprising amount of drive. It needs space, it needs work, and it needs daily exercise, not a 20-minute walk around the block. A bored Boerboel will find ways to solve that problem, and none of those solutions will involve it sitting quietly. With family, it's deeply affectionate, almost absurdly gentle with its own people for a dog this size. Kids who grow up in the house are treated like the dog's personal responsibility. There's a protectiveness there that's instinctive and strong. But the Boerboel decides who belongs and who doesn't. Strangers don't get a warm welcome by default. The dog will watch, assess, and make its own call. And that decision-making is confident, not anxious. That independence of mind is the thing that catches first-time owners completely off guard. The Boerboel is not a golden retriever waiting to be told what to do. It thinks. It has its own read on situations. Training it requires consistency, patience, and someone who doesn't fold when the dog pushes back, and it will push back. Health concerns are significant at this size. Hip and elbow dysplasia are common. Bloat is a serious risk, and every owner needs a plan before there's an emergency, not during one. Eye and heart conditions appear in the breed at rates worth knowing about. Lifespan runs 9 to 11 years. A well-bred puppy from a responsible breeder will cost $1,500 to $3,000. Feeding a dog this size is a monthly line item you need to actually budget for. Don't get a Boerboel if you live in a small apartment. You're not physically and mentally capable of managing a dog that outweighs many adults. Or you want something reliably social with strangers. This dog was bred to be suspicious of unfamiliar people, and it takes that seriously. Now the Bullmastiff, and on the surface, it sounds almost identical. The Bullmastiff. The Bullmastiff has one of the most specific origin stories in dog breeding. In 19th century England, large estates were being destroyed by poachers, and gamekeepers needed a dog that could track a person in the dark, run them down silently, and pin them without killing them. Because a dead poacher meant legal trouble, a restrained one meant a conversation. So they crossed the Mastiff, massive, heavy, calm, with the bulldog of the time, which was a very different animal from what we have today. Smaller, faster, more aggressive. The result was a dog that was big enough to knock a grown man off his feet and hold him there, but controllable enough to stop on command. That origin shapes everything about this dog's personality. The Bullmastiff is quieter than you'd expect, more laid back inside the home. It doesn't have the same working drive as the Boerboel. It's less likely to redecorate your garden out of boredom. For a 130-pound dog, it's genuinely manageable in a larger apartment if it gets proper daily exercise. That's not true of many breeds at this size. Males typically sit between 110 and 130 pounds, around 25 to 27 inches at the shoulder. The build is heavy and blocky, wide head, strong neck, thick chest, but slightly less imposing than the Boerboel in terms of raw mass. The temperament is loyal, calm, and deeply attached to family. With children, it's patient. With strangers, it's reserved, but not typically reactive without reason. It doesn't bark excessively. The original gamekeepers specifically needed a silent tracker, and that trait stuck. This is a dog that will observe a situation without announcing itself, which is either reassuring or slightly unsettling depending on your perspective. The honest flaw with the Bullmastiff is health. Brachycephalic features, that short, pushed-in face, mean breathing issues in heat and during heavy exercise. Cancer rates in the breed are genuinely high compared to other large breeds, and that's worth knowing up front, not as a surprise. Hip dysplasia and bloat are both real concerns. Lifespan is shorter than you want it to be, typically 7 to 9 years. That's the trade-off with the build. Price from a reputable breeder is $1,000 to $2,500. Don't get a Bullmastiff if you're highly active and want a dog that can keep up with intense outdoor exercise. You can't handle the health costs and heartbreak that come with the shorter lifespan. Or you're not ready for a dog that takes its time warming up to new people, even in normal social settings. Here's the real split between these two. The Boerboel is a working guardian, alert, driven, independent, and physically dominant in a way that demands an owner who can match that energy. If you have land, experience with large protective breeds, and want a dog that's genuinely capable of handling a real threat, the Boerboel is extraordinary at what it does. The Bullmastiff is a contained guardian, calmer, more adaptable to home life, easier to manage in tighter spaces, and slightly more forgiving of a less experienced owner. If you want the presence and protection of a giant breed without the same intensity of management the Boerboel requires, the Bullmastiff is the more practical choice. Neither is beginner-friendly. Neither is low-maintenance. Both eat a lot. Both cost money to keep healthy. And both will form bonds with their families that are hard to put into words. The difference is just how much of yourself you're ready to invest in the process. Boerboel or Bullmastiff? Which one do you think fits your life better, honestly? Drop it in the comments. And if you've owned either of these, I genuinely want to know what your first month was like.